So, good day, everyone. My name is Vid Romac. I'm a software developer, software architect at CROZ. And today we have the fourth webinar in our series on IBM products. And today's webinar will be focused on WebMethods, our integration platform used in a variety of ways. And we will go more into detail what it offers and how it can help you to achieve to bring more value to your businesses and to your business processes. A little about me. As I said, I'm a senior software development engineer and software architect. I've been with CROZ for over 10 years now. I've started as a BPM developer, but swiftly I switched over to an integration specialist and then later general business solutions and architecture. During my time here, I have worked with and I have experienced with various integration platforms and tools such as WebMethods, such as IBM's APIC toolset and Kong, for example. But I've also worked with various other platforms and containerization solutions such as Kubernetes and OpenShift, which is also something that's useful for this talk. So that's a bit about me. A little bit about CROZ. So CROZ is a Croatian German BizTech company. In a nutshell, we aim to align tech solutions with business requests from your side. So no matter what you need, no matter at which point of a software's life cycle you need it, we hope to help you bring value in that part. So be it that during the earlier stages of software lifecycle, such as analysis, design, talks with business stakeholders to get the requirements of what is needed for your business, through implementation, testing, writing documentation, all the way to final production, operations and monitoring of your total solution. So be it code, be it infrastructure, services, operations, planning, tests, UX, mainframe setups, all of these fields are something that we here at CROZ are able to help you, to assist you in any way that can help you. So we have a lot of experts, we have a lot of projects under our belts in over 20 years. We worked with various technologies, with various partners. As we like to say, we have a mix of Croatian engineering with German humor. So here are some of our partners that we worked with. We are a gold partner with IBM. We have a lot of experience with them and help assisting there. But not only with IBM, we also have a strong partnership with Red Hat. We were among the early adopters of their OpenShift container platform, spearheading its deployment, its implementation, and all around working with it with various other customers, but also all the other technologies that are entered here. Another one that we want to mention is also we started dabbling with AI. In the sense, we built our own in-house solution so that we can still have the power of all those familiar LLMs, but to keep them in-house, so we're sure that no data is going outside to the internet to some future training sets for other companies. So your data is safe. It's only within us that you provided us. So before I go into the details and the agenda for today's webinar, I want to start with a short survey. It's just a couple of questions to get an idea what kind of an audience we have currently. So the questions are simple in the sense that what's your level of expertise in today's subject in integration. So are you a beginner in everything? Just getting started, you just want to know what are we talking about in the most general terms? Or are you more intermediate or advanced? So you already know about your requirement, your capabilities. You just want to know more about the specifics that IBM WebMethods provide you. And the other question is more about what exactly within WebMethods is the thing that you're interested in. Is it general platform integrations? Is it API management? Are you more interested into its capabilities of being a single pane of glass? So giving you a master overview of your whole configuration, being able to deploy, configure all your environments from a single point. Is it your B2B functionalities in order to facilitate your B2B integrations? Or are you more interested into the future hybrid WebMethods integration offering that is coming in the near future? Or some other options that is of interest. So I'll leave it just a few more moments for everyone to answer the options. And with that out of the way, I will start talking about the agenda. So the agenda today is fairly simple. We'll be going through, for the most, why are we talking about WebMethods? Why are we talking about an integration platform? Why is this something that you use? Why is this something that is still needed this late? Because the underlying technologies are fairly old. The concepts have been around for decades. But why is this something that is still being talked about and still being made as a point of interest to businesses and partners? Other than that, we're going to go then more into details about WebMethods. What are its contents and capabilities? How does it achieve those capabilities? And some simpler use cases, how you can use it in the most basic sense, but also those basic points are the building blocks of any advanced capabilities you may be planning. Finally, I will be going through a short demo on its API gateway functionality. So it's only for one segment of WebMethods. It's a fairly straightforward demo at 5 to 10 minutes to show you how you can use it to get more monitoring capabilities and as well user access control. So you have complete control who is using what, and so you also not only have control who is using it, but you also have the knowledge for any other future changes. In the end, I will go quickly over some competition points, tools that other businesses offer, and also future offerings that are linked to the IBM WebMethods platform tool. A point of note is also we have the chat open at all times. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them inside. I will try to cover them at the end of the session for any open Q&A points. With that being said, we can start talking. So how a famous play would start. What do we talk about when we talk about integration platforms? I'm going to start with a quote from another famous person, so Jeff Bezos. He had a famous, how do you call it, a note email to the entire company, his AP mandate, where he listed 5 points of order for the entire company that they need to start covering in order to facilitate the switch of their company, Amazon, at that point of time, which is way back in 2002, into a modern software company that has properly aligned their internal components, the internal IT infrastructure to be able to facilitate all their business needs, both for the external customer, but more specifically at that point of time for their internal teams. So his first point was all teams will henceforth need to integrate their data and functionalities through service interfaces. And fourth point, it doesn't matter what technology they use. So what he wanted is everyone to have a structured and documented way of integrating between business silos within his company, between his subsystems, and not to have any undocumented direct database reads or ways that they are looking into each other data, maybe not even looking, but copying or moving it away without them knowing. So he wanted to have a proper way and structure that everyone knows who is the owner of what data and how they're accessing it. How does an integration platform facilitate this today? So modern ITs have very varied inventories. They have both rich and varied technologies, stacks, protocols, people that are offering various business needs within your company. So it could be billing, it could be sales, it could be marketing, it could be monitoring. A lot of systems exist, and all those systems, as we come more to the modern age, you have a need to have access to the data of those systems. So if you have a system A that needs data from system B, and those two systems live in completely different technological ecosystems, it can be an issue, a headache, how to read and how to exchange that data. So integration platforms assist you with that in a way to give you access to that data. So the data is still owned by the original creator or owner of the data, but other subsystems have a way to access the data in a way that, as Bezos mentioned, can be agnostical to the technology. So even though you might have a database that is running on Kix, for example, and you have a new modern application running on Rust, Go, or whatnot, you're still able to integrate those two systems and are able to fetch the data from one system, transform it, and make it available to be read, that is to be processed and worked upon on the other system. Another point of order is also its scalability and flexibility. So all those needs that might start as internal needs, as data that is internally needed, might change in the future to become externally needed, that you want to provide to your business customers directly so that they can fetch the data. And with that change, that is both change in the way it's being used, but also changing how often, how much of an impact, a scalability issue in sense. So you have to be able to scale your solution in a way that you can add more functionalities, you can add more users, more traffic, while the underlying concept, that is, you are enabling data from an old system to be available to any other system in a way that is agnostic to either of them. So once everything is connected, once you have this integration in place, another point of order becomes very cumbersome is how do you manage it? How do you know and how do you see who is using what is interconnected, how is traffic being funneled through your systems? Do you have a bottleneck somewhere? Do you have a leak? Do you have some change that you need to propagate to all the clients, but you need to know who those clients are? Integration platform and WebMethods in this case offer you these capabilities to show you those monitoring, to give you those monitoring tools so you can see the data, you can see exactly who is using what. So in example, if you have a change in a service, in an API, and it's a breaking change, you need to have a way to notify everyone who is using that service. And with this, you have a clear list, an explicit whitelist in this sense that tells you, okay, these are the clients of this service, so you know exactly who you need to notify, and you are sure that once you've upgraded your service and those clients that are listed have been upgraded, you are sure no one else is using it and no one else is breaking it using an older client, for example. Also, what it helps you with documentation, that it gives you an API documentation of the integrations that you published, that you've created, so that any new clients and new developers looking to add a functionality into their existing system can quickly see what's available, what can be used, and how it can be used. So how WebMethods precisely helps you. So what is WebMethods? WebMethods is a versatile suite of tools built to streamline system integration, API management, and business process automation. So its goal is to assist you in business process automation, so you're able to expose the value of your underlying processes, systems, or just data within your organization, but also beyond your organizations to customers beyond. How it helps that? Firstly, by automation, where it tries to remove any manual tasks. So you might have systems in your organization, multiple systems that seem to be automated, where a user goes in, enters some data, and a whole process workflow starts. But at one point of that process, you need to go into another system and again manually enter the same or just sub-segment of the data. Such a system is not fully automated, not fully integrated. Why can't your initial system talk to that subsequent system, or why don't you have an overarching system that orchestrates and synchronizes it? So once the initial manual part is done, no further human actions are needed, and everything is as automated as possible. Another thing that it enables is event-driven workflows. So you can have capabilities where a database entry made from one system can generate an email or even a tweet notifying that something changed. Or in the other way around, if you have a tweet that can trigger a purchase request or a marketing request that you can send directly to the user that has triggered it. All this is provided to you and covered with real-time visibility. So you can see patterns of usage. You can see how traffic is going through. You can identify any potential issues or bottlenecks. You can have automated alerts to notify you that something might be going wrong. Not necessarily that it is wrong, but you might have something to look into. And as I said prior, this will help to streamline your organization within that. Even though you might have a silos structure in your organization where not much communication might happen between those silos, integration platform will help you ease those barriers, and more communication becomes available between them, and gives you a framework for future changes where you can expose that same service to your customers beyond your internal organization. Another point, how this whole automation is done, it's done primarily and in its core by integration. So it integrates systems and technology. A WebMethods integration platform is a platform that offers you a lot of tools, pre-built connectors, toolkits, templates, where you can quickly get to integration of A system with B system. So you can now connect services that weren't talking before. They weren't talking because they were using uncompatible technologies or uncompatible patterns, maybe even. We'll get to it in our future. But with this, you can now have that wall broken, and you can now, with this integration, also orchestrate complete new processes that might be complex. So if you have a service or a workflow that goes to multiple subsystems, and you want them to have them implemented, no longer have the manual, for example, where the person had to open multiple systems, enter data, fetch data, validate data. All this can be automated and orchestrated within a single flow. It will be a complex flow, but a single flow within WebMethods is able to process such a thing. And another thing that it also gives you is it provides you all the business-to-business features. So it basically allows you to use various B2B standards, Swift messages, EDIs, and partner management within it to facilitate all your needs, while also covering you by industry and compliance standards. So you're covered with all that. And as you build all these solutions with your WebMethods integration platform, once you have that, you can then use the API management segment to to manage those same integrations. So you can have those integrations exposed as reusable APIs. So why have if a team required a complex integration to be made to fetch some common data sets, why does that data set need to be only for that team that requested it? You can expose that same data set to other systems within your organization, and using API, you can then expose them, you can document them, and you can make them reusable, while at the same time managing access control, usage control, and having a monitoring overview to know how much is it being used, how is it being used, and also for the fairly low-level things such as debugging or looking at logs. If something goes wrong, you have a point to see, okay, service A called this service with these requests, it got this error, let's see what went wrong. Was the request wrong? Was the response wrong? Or something in the middle? It helps you facilitate in such debugging efforts. So all this can be seen in this diagram. It's an older diagram. It still has the older WebMethods IO references, but the capabilities noted here haven't changed. So it's still the focus on productivity and agility to give you all that you need, be it data or application integration, data exposure, APIs, or just events and B2B functionalities. All these are available to you for your customers or your internal organization. So how does WebMethods platform achieve this? How does it do this? It has a very large connector and template inventory. So as I mentioned, there are various technology stacks used that are popular. There are also applications that are pretty much mainstream. Everyone uses something like SAP or Salesforce. So if you want to integrate those applications to your existing internal applications or some other systems, you have connectors already ready. You have capabilities to connect to simpler and older stuff such as KICS or SOAP services, but also modern ones via REST or plain HTTP. You have also compatibility with messaging systems such as using JMS or modern queuing stream capabilities with Kafka. You can connect to various databases that there are already done connectors for particular databases, or you can use the general JDBC ones to give you an approach to any database that you need. It also allows you to integrate your home systems with any cloud environments that you might have, be it an AWS or Google Cloud. So we have already preset connectors where everything is set up, how to connect, how to authenticate, how to access control when your application tries to connect to a cloud service that either you have or that you purchased. WebMethods also gives you a lot of strength in allowing your Internet of Things enablement. So how to connect, how to react to events that those things are generating, because they keep popping and events being generated. You have to be able to quickly react, to quickly notify some other system on some thresholds or some specific events, or vice versa, to update those same elements. All these connectors that are enabled out of the box, you also have usage patterns or recipes. So it comes with patterns of how to integrate, how to implement some connections or some usage patterns already documented and predefined, so you can quickly get your solution running. So how to use best patterns, best industry standards in integration or complex orchestration. That is, and another thing to note, if with all these connectors, that is a large pool, if something is still missing, there is an ability to create it. So you're free to create your own connectors for your own either third-party or in-house solution. You can create your own connector, generalize it in a way so that the developers using your integration platform have a quick cookie cutter element ready for you to integrate with that system. All this is powered by a low-code development approach. So it isn't focused as much on coding as much as configuring and linking systems. So with that, you get a very fast POC development. So you can make sure, okay, can my system A talk to system B? If yes, how? Let's connect them. Let's see if the most basic messages go through. With this, you can get that integration running within a day, prove that an integration is capable, sans any network connectivity issues, which always tend to be a headache. But after that, data is flowing freely, and now you can start modifying on both ends in the sense of what the providing services is offering you, what the client application requires it, and the integration platform itself, how it enables that service. Does it need any other changes, transformations, supplementary data, and whatnot? All this, once it's built, it has a centralized control. The IBM uses with WebMethods a concept of a single pane of glass, where you basically develop anywhere, deploy anywhere. You have a single point where you can see, you have an overview of all your integration platforms, of all your solutions, and you can quickly see what's being used where. You can quickly configure each and every one of those environments. And because there's so many of them, it's easy to go local with all that. And you can use, and it's supported to use GitOps practices to stay sane, to have that code configuration, infrastructure configuration as code kept in versioned in a system for code version. And the whole WebMethods solution that you build, that you create, also has support for modern architectures, where the solution can be as a classical application on a WebMethods integration server, or it can also be containerized and deployed on your container platform. So you're able to work with it. You are able to integrate with your older infrastructure, with your older systems, while using a newer, modern approach and modern containerized approach of deploying such integration solutions. So some simpler use cases, how WebMethods provides this capability. So in essence, a WebMethods integration platform acts as a service bus, SRE, a concept that's fairly old. It's been around a few decades, and it enables you to link anything with anything, basically. So you can bridge your new greenfield application, link it to a legacy old KICS, HTTP, MQ, whatnot, any technology, any older technologies you might still be having running for compliance needs or simple technical debt. As a service bus, it also helps you to link your internal infrastructure to the cloud, to have a single point that goes and connects to the cloud to integrate with any services that you have running up there. It can also work as a switch or a termination point between systems that are working in synchronous versus asynchronous modes of work. That, in a sense, if you have a service that requires a prompt response, have you received, have you processed my request? But on the other side, you have an asynchronous consumer of such requests. With a WebMethods integration platform, you can create a pattern where such a request comes in synchronously. An asynchronous message is created and forwarded to the consumer on the other side, but a straight synchronous response is generated to the originating client to tell them, okay, we received your request, it's being worked on. We cannot tell you if it's completed, if it's invalid due to some other business needs or rules, but you can rest assured that we have accepted it and it's being worked on. You will get further notifications depending on how you implement such a thing. All this WebMethods does while integrating it also enables data transformation. So the data that goes through can be of various structures, format, or content. You can have JSON, XML, Edifact message structures, but WebMethods can work with it and can easily transform data from one structure format to another, where you decide what needs to be transformed into what needs to be dropped if it isn't interesting or needs to be censored, for example. As well as data transformation, web methods can enable you orchestration. So if you have a service that's more complex, where you have multiple calls, you can implement them within it as sequential calls or even parallel calls. So even though the originating client says, I need data A, they don't know, they don't care where the data is. On the integration platform, you can implement the business rules to look into the data, to know where the data is. For example, if it's a live data or archive data, to go into those services, fetch it, enrich it with any other subsequent calls, and then combine the whole solution into a single payload for the originating application. While doing all this implementation, while covering all that, it also gives you all the monitoring and error handling capabilities that you need for such a platform. So this being another element to your stack, to your call stack of integrations, you need and you have various tools to be able to see what's going on and to have a trace of how the messages are going through, to log those messages, to log events, to log notifications. You can also handle various error cases and have best effort fetches, and even implement more complex retry mechanisms such as a circuit breaker. So in a sense, if an underlying service becomes unavailable, you can stop further attempts to call that service until that service becomes available, so that you are not overloading it while it might be restarting under the hood. But you can protect that service from any clients outside while that's happening. All this development goes to a specific dev approach is needed. So people working with an integration platform, it's expected for them to have a cooperation with the data owners of the subsystems. So they are talking to all those legacy teams, legacy platforms, live teams and technologies to see, okay, what are your capabilities? What are your APIs that you currently have? We need them because some other service organization requires it. How can we facilitate their needs with your capabilities? What can you give us? And then we will cover any missing points that might be flaky for them, such as missing data because it's optional, but it might be required on the client side, whatnot. All this, the integration team can then handle and implement all those cases, while the original app team that required all the data doesn't need to know about it. They just see a simple API. Okay, I give this request, and I will know that I will get this response with all this data. How that data is fetched, they don't need to know about, especially if there's multiple clients, multiple subsystems requiring the data. They just need that data. They don't need to know how it came to light. So once you have the integration in place, another functionality that becomes very useful is its API management on the WebMethods platform, where it allows you to expose and market those APIs. It doesn't need to necessarily be APIs that you've created during the integration. It can also be the APIs of your organization as a whole, as a central point, a marketplace in a sense, where you can see what you have, what you can offer, so that other developers can quickly see, okay, how can I integrate, how can I get this data from other subsystem into my application? Here they have a way to see what's offered, to see the documentation on how it's used, and the ability to quickly test it with simple curl commands that integration really works, and that data is really fetched. And all that is covered with monitoring capabilities, where you can see how that data is flowing through. You can see the user statistics and report. With that being said, now I'm going to go through a quick demo of exactly those API gateway capabilities. So I've given the offerings to the demo gods. I have everything working before. It's a simple Docker Compose script running my API gateway with Elk stack behind it to power up all the data facilitation needs that it needs. So it's being started. I can now start my web methods API gateway. Where now currently I have a blank gateway, I have nothing deployed, implemented, or whatnot. Just move this so I can see. So for the demo, I'm going to create a quick, to show you how you can quickly create an API that's being facilitated, that goes through your API gateway to give you those monitoring capabilities and later access controls. So I will give it an API already created, a Swagger type. I will give it a name and a version. These are used in the path that will be generated. And now I currently have that API published, that is ready on the gateway to be published. Before I do that, I will only change the policy to change where the data is going. So in this use case, API gateway is just something that the data goes through. And here I've entered the real endpoint where the data will go for the proper fetch. I want to activate. So now I currently have an API that's exposed in my API gateway, and it's opened for REST requests. That data is then routed to a real service underneath. In this case, it's a multi service that will respond. So if I curl request, I see various data is being fetched. And now one point that I forgot to edit because by default it doesn't happen. So logging. So I will just add a log invocation where I want to store everything. Save. Everything is being saved. It's being active. I re-invoke it. And now if I go into analytics of API gateway, it will fetch the data from the underlying Elastic. Hit trigger just to make sure. Always those demo gods. Another point. So logging is enabled, traffic monitoring is enabled, everything is being stored. It tends to be flaky, but on the next step, it should be available. So for the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add access controls. So currently this API is available for anyone that has access to that web endpoint. What I'm now going to change is I'm going to make it limited to only authorized users, not users, but applications. Then access, edit, access plus. So I will trigger if someone unauthorized is trying to attempt, and how do I know if it's actually authorized? He will have an API key of a registered application. Saving this and activating it. If I now redo my request, it's being declined. It's an unauthorized application request because I'm not identifying who am I, and I'm trying to access this API. If I look into the analytics now, let's show, don't show. See, so it always worked before the demo, but let me now fix it. Let me now enable authorization. So I will create an application, a test application. I've created the application. This is its API key with which it identifies who am I. And going back to the API, looking at applications showing who is authorized to use it, I will just add this application. And now if I invoke the same endpoint, basically with the same request, but I've only added the request key. The request now goes through. So again, a request without an API key is being declined because WebMethods doesn't know who's requesting it, and it has an explicit whitelist that is an explicit authorization method how to know who to allow to. But once you give an API key, you are sure that you are allowed to fetch that data. Let's see. It doesn't still want to show the data. But I assure you, it shows you here exactly what the request was, how was it processed, and what was the response. So you can exactly see for the failure why it failed, that the authorization was missing, and if it succeeded, how what data came through. The data in this case was enabled to save all the payload, both the request and the response, both the headers and the bodies. So everything is shown. But in a production environment, you would obviously have a limited set of data, but you would still be able to prove, okay, who is calling what, and are they getting successes or failures? With that being said, I'm going back into the presentation. And covering all these capabilities, I'm just going to give you a quick word on alternatives. So there are many competitors in the fields of integration platforms. And it needs to be said that all these have a large or maybe even a complete capability overlap with WebMethods because they are serious contenders, they're serious alternatives that needs to be considered. So WebMethods isn't necessarily the best in its field, but it does have its strength and others have some of their weaknesses. For example, MuleSoft, they have from Salesforce, they're considered more of a premium solution due to the size of their client base and the pricing that they have. While on the other hand, for example, Oracle doesn't have an implemented out-of-the-box data caching solutions. It can be implemented by you, but it requires some workarounds that in other platforms you don't need. Another point of order is, for example, Azure from Microsoft, where you have a smaller template library. And there is a bit more of an effort to add your own. But again, you are able to do it. You're not limited. And for example, AWS, it being more of a curator and not creator of the underlying engine, the Apache Airflow, I believe, you're more limited in how the engine is being used, how they're using it, and you're more tightly coupled to their whole cloud AWS infrastructure. But again, these are all mature and serious alternatives that should be looked into and see where your needs align with their capabilities. But another point to note is IBM WebMethods also, in a sense, has a competition with itself with another solution, which is IBM ACE App Connect and IBM APIC, which provide you almost the same set of options. But coming into the future, what we have is WebMethods Hybrid EPAS. It's a new offering that has been recently announced, where they're moving to integrate all those IBM offerings under a single cloud, under a single control plane in this sense, where you can have both WebMethods and ACE solutions running side by side, integrating either together or different things. But you have a singular control plane that enables you to have an overview of everything, to know what's deployed where, how it's configured, and to monitor any and all data that goes through. It also is expected to have some AI enhancements in the sense that it will guide you more if you have needs. For example, I want to integrate technology A with technology B using this. How can I go through? And it will help you run you through any existing templates or boilerplates to enable this integration for you. And it being a cloud solution, it has and it supports only a cloud only or a hybrid setup, meaning the control plane needs to be on the cloud. You cannot have a totally local solution. So everything will, you will need to have access to a cloud environment, third-party IBMs, to be able to run such an environment. So with all that being said, now I will be looking into the open discussion QA. I will also be opening the other survey. So if there'll be another question to see, more of a free open-ended question is, how do you see, where do you see the need for web methods potentially in your organization? Do you want it to use it in a new greenfield project to POC the whole construct, or are you looking into a switchover from one technology to another? Are you looking to enable any legacy systems that you have? Or do you want to centralize your inventory and have a complete overview of what you have and how you're using it, as well monitor for any issues or basic traffic? While I'm waiting for this questions to be fulfilled by you, if there are any questions in the chat, I'll be looking into it here. But also I'll be looking at what's coming ahead. So the final step in our webinar series, IBM Orchestrate, it's planned next week on the 27th of November. Julia Solinas, our data scientist and AI consultant here at CROZ, she will talk you through in a similar approach, maybe more detail, maybe more demo, a functional demo, I hope, where she will show you real-world use cases of IBM Orchestrate and how it can help you in your organization in the automation approaches, as well as some AI capabilities. So with that, not sure if we have any questions, if we have any more full answers that we need to go through. If not, I believe we have several answers. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening. I hope I gave you a good enough overview to understand what an integration platform is, how it can help, what are its use cases and capabilities at its simplest, because with these capabilities, you have the tools, you have the building blocks to make any more complex solutions that you might need. And I take it that that is all. There are no other questions from anyone. All I can say is thank you again for listening and have a nice day. I'll be stopping our share and stopping our webinar.